Well, perhaps I'll need the gift of interpretation of tongues to understand all that he's said in that song. Still Sunrise Daily, and so many issues always burning the headlines this morning. Of course, we have referenced security. So, on Sunrise, let's talk about what we need to do to confront the security challenges. One of the things that gets to me here about this, Alero, is that we began last year talking about security. And now, well, just a quick recap. More than 7,000 lives were lost in 2020 to Boko Haram attacks, communal clashes, farmer-herder crisis, and other pockets of violence across the nation. That is according to the Nigeria Security Tracker. Insecurity remains a recurrent decimal in our national history. Recall that on Friday, December 11, there was an abduction of 344 schoolboys at the government science secondary school, Kankara, Katsina State, by bandits. While the students were all rescued alive after 6 days in captivity, governments ought to have been there to prevent a recurrence. Are we there yet? The Global Terrorism Index put Nigeria as the third most impacted by terrorism country after Afghanistan and Iraq. Eminent Nigerians, the Sultan of Sokoto, His Eminence Sa'ad Abubakar, the Catholic Bishop of Sokoto State, Matthew Hassan Kukah, social rights groups like Afenifere and Ohaneze Ndigbo, as well as the Southern and Middle Belt Forum. Everyone has raised concerns about the worsening state of insecurity in Nigeria, including Chief Anyoku, just recently, something that was on the front pages. So many issues right there. So what are the things that we need to do to confront these issues? Of course, you won't forget that the Southwest Security Network, codenamed Amatekun Corps, was inaugurated in the 6 states of the Southwest this year. And of course, you know all of the hoopla that went ahead of that. So many issues to look at, but let's take them on right now and see how far we can go in this conversation. Issa Ogusel is spokesperson to the Borno State Governor. He joins us from our Maiduguri studio. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. We have also Emmanuel Ojukwu, retired Commissioner of Police and Executive Director, Echo Charlie Consultancy Services Limited, as well as Mr. Sheyi Adetayo, VP ACES. They both join us virtually via Zoom, as well as Mr. Olatunbosun Abolariwa, who is a security consultant. Gentlemen, thank you very much for joining us this morning. Mr. Gusau, let me start with you. When we talk about insecurity in Nigeria, insurgency and the rest of it, many people generally look to Borno State and the issues that you and the government of Borno State have been contending with. Can you give us a quick update on how far so far?
I would say that the only option that we have is to remain optimistic. Of course, we know that the year 2020 has been very difficult. We have had, all kinds of challenges, but the wish of Governor Babagana Omar Zulum is that we hope to have seen the worst. 2 days ago, I was reading an interview granted by the Chief of Army Staff. He said something that excited me, saying that the Army hopes to, in his words, disgrace the Boko Haram in 2021, and we hope that happens. On the part of the Borno State Governor, Professor Babagana Omar Zulum, everyone knows what he has been doing. Within the last 1.5 years that he became the governor of Borno State, Professor Zulum has so far given out more than 600 vehicles, which are very critical components in the fight against insurgency. He has approved the recruitment of thousands of hunters, about 6,000 to 7,000 hunters, civilian JTF, and vigilantes who are volunteers in the fight against Boko Haram. He has increased the salaries, of these volunteers. In most of the time when he travels, across 27 local government areas, one of the first things he does is to request to meet with local hunters, and volunteers fighting against Boko Haram to find out what their problem is, and to strengthen them by increasing the number of vehicles that they have, and increasing the number of men, and of course in all the recruitment that we normally do, the DSS is usually involved in vetting. So on the part of Governor Babagana Omar Zulum, he is doing everything humanly possible to support the Nigerian military. Of course, you would recall that not long ago he was at Bama, where he gave out the Christmas largesse to a battalion that has never been defeated. So the governor gives a lot of support to the Nigerian military. He has given some funds to families of soldiers, for them to start some businesses. He has assisted families of some fallen soldiers. He is doing a lot on our part, and then we are confident and hopeful that the Nigerian military will up its game in this 2021.
Well, one of the things, if you don't mind me staying with you for a bit, that a number of people have alluded, some documentaries, some discoveries, some research done by some media organizations, both local and foreign, is that the recruitment into Boko Haram was more for economic reasons. The people that they recruit are people who are vulnerable because they didn't have economic means. No jobs and all of that. So when they give them money or they offer them money, they go with whatever it is that they give them because at least they'll be able to live, their lives. So that underscores a huge challenge right there. Is there anything the government is doing in Borno State to stave off that, put people in employment, gainful employment, so that they are discouraged from joining this insurgency?
I think what is very clear is that Professor Abagana Omar Zulum's social protection approach is very bold. You would recall that within 2-3 weeks ago, he approved a whopping amount of 12 billion naira to clear gratuities of ex-workers. To me, that is a major approach. And of course, that within the last 1.5 years that he's been the governor of Borno State, he has so far expended more than 4 to 5 billion in direct social protection support for a lot of citizens. And one unique thing about Zulum's approach is that he goes to the grassroots. Not only does he go there, he supervises it and ensures that these monies get directly, to the people. And there are also a lot of efforts in terms of, agriculture. Like the commandant of the Nigerian Security and Civil Defense did say publicly, Governor Zulum is one of the earliest governors to have keyed into the policy of domesticating the agro rangers, to secure farmlands. The governor has done so much in terms of social protection, and of course, that he's investing hugely, in education, which is a very important component, in the fight against poverty. One of the ways you can certainly fight poverty is by creating access to quality education, improving healthcare. The governor is doing a whole lot in that, which channels has reported most of the time. But let me also say that it's not totally correct to say that some of the people who join Boko Haram are actually just enticed by money. A lot of them are actually forced to join. What the Boko Haram does is that when they attack a particular community, they most times kidnap, abduct a lot of men and go with them. And they have a way of trying to do their best in brainwashing some of them, and those who refuse to be brainwashed are forced to go into battle. If of course you can't rule out the issue of some people induced with money, but you know that, you would ask yourself how many people would collect money, to go and get killed in the battlefield. So a lot of people are forced into it, but there are also those who join on the basis of their, ideologies, and then there are some of them who are brainwashed into seeing that, as an alternative to heaven. But that notwithstanding,
thank you,
like I
Issa.
said,
Thank you
Governor
very.
Zulum, yeah.
We'll have another occasion to tell us more about what is going on in Borno State. And let me bring in Mr. Emmanuel Ojuku. Because when we talk security, we're not only talking about Boko Haram. We also have issues of banditry, we have issues of kidnapping, and we have issues of shared criminality. Armed robbery. All that is also going on. Recall the issue in Katsina in Kankara not long ago. We were told that those boys were abducted by bandits. So this is a new year. We have been talking security for more than 2 years now. This is a new year. What direction do you think we should be going to improve this situation in which we find ourselves?
Okay, there's no doubt that we are in dire straits on issues of insecurity or security, as the case may be. And our approach to a large extent has been reactive. We've not been proactive in handling issues of criminality or insecurity in this country. I think what we should do in this year of 2021, I'm optimistic that the heads of security sectors in this country will rejig their strategy and get more involved in community engagement, in nipping crime in the bud.
Oh, well, I'm sure we'll be able to get that, right in a bit.
We do have Mr. Bolariwa here with us in the studio in Lagos, and I think I'll just throw that question to you. We have all kinds of criminality going on. There's banditry, there's kidnapping, there's armed robbery, apart from Boko Haram problem in the northeast. Well, in the north, let's say, because they're actually spreading their wings now. But this is a new year, and do we need to carve out a different way of dealing with this? And if we do, what direction do we need to be going to deal with this before it consumes all of us?
Thank you very much. If the approach that has been adopted since 2009 to deal with terrorism, or the different approach that has been adopted by each state government or level of government has brought us to where we are, where the Global Index says that after Iraq and Afghanistan that has been ravaged by war, we are next. It simply means that somebody is getting our diagnosis right somewhere, and we that are being diagnosed seems to be getting what is wrong with us wrong. And it is from that position that we really need to sit down, learn a listening ear to everybody that is talking, and then do something. This is not about giving money to the vulnerable. No, it's not about increasing the pension of the people. We have a monster that is about to consume us. That is the problem we have on our hands. Yeah, we can happily say that it is a problem of the North or the Northeast, but we could be terribly wrong. Terrorism can never be referred to or viewed that way. It is a global phenomenon. It's something similar to pandemic or epidemics. It is a matter of time before it spread. If I'm not saying that's too late, because if I cannot travel from Kiri Junction in Abuja to Kaduna State without my life being risked on my way to Kaduna, or I cannot travel by road between Kiri Junction and Lokoja without being picked up by kidnapper and taken to the mountain, then it means it's spreading. If we have the level of kidnappings that we are dealing with in Lagos, if our people in Osun State can no longer go to the farm, it means that the problem is going to be recycled, because I don't know if you have noticed it, that we are beginning to face food crisis. The only reason for this is that all the people that have been comfortable going to the farm to produce the food that is coming to Mile 12 market, to Shogbo, everywhere, You saw what happened to onions 8 weeks ago. If insecurity is beginning to affect the farmers, then it means that we're going to have crisis in town. And either we like it or not, that is the problem of insecurity in the north spreading here. The approach.
Semicolon. We need to go on a break right now.
Yes. Just stay with us.
Thank you for staying with us. Mr. Sheyi Adetayo, who joins us via Zoom. Oh, thank God you're back with us. Great, great. So my question was, which I'm going to ask you now, the same question that I asked Mr. Abolariwa in the studio. A new year has come. Do we need to rethink about the way that we're dealing with these issues? And if we need to, what direction should we be going now? Mr. Adetayo.
Okay, thank you very much. Definitely, that is the way to go. It is normal for you to yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Hearing you. Yeah, definitely. I said that is the way to go. When you have done something for a whole year, it is expected that you need to sit down and take stocks of all your actions and be able to review your actions to see those things that you've done. If you look at the year 2020.
Okay, well, that's what we've had to let him go. But let me go back to Mr. Gusso. One of the things that's also being of concern, if you listen to that report, is the need for some significant collaboration with the locals. As you heard in that report, most crimes and criminality take place at the local levels, the ward levels, the local government levels, and the rest of them. From your experience, from your findings, from data available to you, from information that you receive, how significant is that fact, and what has been done or is being done to ensure we don't have a recurrence?
Well, if you go back to the emergence of the civilian JTF in Borno State, for instance, everybody has, accepted the fact that the emergence of the civilian JTF in 2013 played a very significant role in chasing out the Boko Haram, particularly out of Maiduguri. That tells you the role of people, at the grassroots. In Borno State, you cannot rule out the fact that you'd always have elements at all levels who would work with criminals. You can never, get rid of that in any society in the world. But I will tell you that the people of Borno State have massively rose against the Boko Haram. And there is no greater evidence than the fact that their sons and daughters keep joining the civilian JTF. And a lot of them get killed, a lot of them sustain injuries, but the more they suffer casualties, the more inspired a lot of them are. So I will tell you that everybody in Borno State is completely fed up with the Boko Haram insurgency, from parents to children to professionals, everyone wants an end to it. And I will tell you that the majority of the people are out against the Boko Haram. But the problem, of course, is that you are dealing with people who conceal their identities, people that you cannot tell. Look at the case of Zabar Mari, for instance. You saw the leader, of the Boko Haram who came out and said that they killed those farmers because the farmers, were working with the military reporting them, to the military. This has been the trend. I know a number of people that got killed on the basis of the Boko Haram suspecting that they were working in collusion, with either the military or the police or the DSS. But that notwithstanding, everybody in Borno knows that there is no alternative to working with the military. The governor inspires that. The elders inspire that. Everybody has keyed into that. But you would always find people, and this is what you find everywhere in the world. You would find people who would, for whatever reason, collaborate, with criminals. But in Borno State, I will tell you, majority of the people are against Boko Haram.
So are you confirming what, was in the public domain, that it was a reprisal against the people of Zabamari when the rice farmers were killed, when it was being said out there that the reason they were attacked is because they were giving information to security operatives? If that is true from what you are also saying, how do we step up the trust quotient when the people who give information to security officials are being killed?
Well, the only thing is for the military, like the governor has regularly said, the military has been doing so much, even though they have had a lot of challenges. The alternative would be to continue to support and protect people in communities, because the military cannot get the information without the members of the community giving them the information. Like I said, the people of Borno State are fed up of Boko Haram, and the fact that their sons and daughters work with the military, they fight side by side with the military under the civilian JTF, hunters and vigilantes, goes to tell you that, look, it is a sacrifice that everybody is making. But then the security agencies have to take it upon themselves to increase the level of protection for members of the community, because there is no alternative, to sharing the information. And if you go back to the Boko Haram, as far back as 4 or 5 years ago, they had killed a number of people who gave information about them, to the military. It didn't start today. That has been the trend, and that is why a lot of people in Borno State normally feel offended when anybody accuses the people of not supporting, the military or any part of the security agencies. I mean, I don't know how else the people of Borno State, would demonstrate their support. They have given all that there is that they can give, and they continue to do it, despite the fact that they do so at the expense of their lives.
Telling us that the people of Borno State are tired of Boko Haram. If that be the case, should they not therefore be more in support of, those who are fighting to save their lives, and be willing and ready to provide information? Because I recall a public service announcement of many years ago that said, armed robber no be spirit. He lives somewhere. He lives among people. He eats with people. So some people know who they are and should be ready to give information if they are really fed up of what is going on in the state.
We said the same thing, Alero. I said, look, the civilian JTF that we have in Borno from 2013 to date, at some point there were more than 20,000 youths who enrolled into the civilian JTF. These are sons and daughters of the people of Borno State. A lot of them have been killed, and a lot of them keep joining. They keep giving their lives. They keep making the sacrifice. They fight side by side with the military. To me, there is no bigger demonstration of commitment, than that. And like I started with the case of Zabamari, the leader of the Boko Haram himself came out to say that they killed these people because they were working with the military, giving the military intelligence. And I will tell you that a lot of people have been killed in the same circumstance. Across the 27 local government areas of Borno State, there are many people who have died on the basis of working with security agencies. And I will tell you that the people of Borno State are not ready to stop working with the military. it's something that they have committed themselves to, and like I said, they have demonstrated it, and they will continue to demonstrate it, because there is no alternative to working, with the military and security agencies to share information. If you don't share information with the Boko Haram, I mean, what with the military, what will be your option? Are you
Yes,
going to give
let me,
information
Mr.
to
So
the
let me
Boko
let me
Haram?
ask Mr. Bolarewa here in the studio. The fact about sharing information or not also came up in a conversation we had with one of those security agencies that we have, and that's the Customs Service. And one of the things that he said in passing, which unfortunately for the exigency of time we couldn't interrogate further, was that people in the various communities, especially the border communities, were more willing to give information to bandits, perhaps for economic gains, than to the people who are supposed to be fighting armed robbery, insurgency, banditry, and all those things that Alero mentioned the other time. So there's a lopsidedness somewhere, isn't it?
Yes, and that's part of the fact that I want to agree with some of the things Mr. Issa Gusau have said, that there is no alternative to giving or sharing information is one area where I would want to disagree with him. There is an alternative. If we have pushed people who are giving information to the level where they sit back to think that, okay, who do we give information to be safe and not to be killed in our farms, for our children not to be kidnapped in the schools and remain safe over the years? I think the community is now in a very, very dangerous situation that they are exchanging information for their lives. We created Operation Safe Passage for the Boko Haram recently, for them to be rehabilitated and for other things. What have we created as an alternative means of passing information from the people to the government? Have you put up a media? Where are your call centers? Have you make use of social media? Have you trained people of how best to give information without exposing themselves to dangers, so that you will be the one that will be at the receiving end? Do you have drones? Have you sent about 20 to 30 to 40 of your children out to go and learn the use of drones and bring it back? Have you created an avenue for primary school, secondary school, and your tertiary institution, all which have been affected? A safe way, a better way of sharing information with the government. All these are package and packets of projects that can be created without putting people at risk. The issue of coming back to hurt the people that are giving information to security agencies is not limited to Nigeria alone. It happens all over the world. The only difference is that they did something to train people, to help people in such manner that the criminal at the end of the day will not know that it is the people that give the information. Okay. Talk less of going back to target them.
Okay, I think Mr. Ojukwu is back with us now. Mr. Ojukwu?
Yes.
Yes, you are a retired commissioner of police. This is the holiday period where many Nigerians like to travel home to be with their loved ones. I'm sure you would have noticed that this last Christmas, it was a different ballgame. Many people could not make that journey back to their villages to be with those that they normally spend Christmas holidays with. And we all know the reason. Well, for those who don't, it's for security reasons. In fact, I overheard an Igbo man talking to a friend of his in a store around November, where he was explaining that he could not take the risk of going home this Christmas. The lady said that she would take the risk, but this guy was saying there was no way he was going to risk his life traveling to the east for Christmas. And there are many like him who didn't make that journey. The police is the first agency that looks after internal security. So what do you think the police should be looking at right now to ensure that the people feel safer?
Okay, first, sorry about the breach in my first appearance. As regards travel during Christmas, I'm speaking to you right from my village in Oka, Anambra State. And there's so much traffic within the cities in the east. What caused the traffic? Influx of returnees. People got home to link up with their loved ones to celebrate Christmas and enter a better year 2021 with their relatives. So that may contradict what that other person said. But then again, if one wanted to travel for Christmas, one needed to ask about the situation in his or her village for those who reside in those villages. They were giving the information that would then inform this movement. We are all well aware that we still have a lot of insecurity on our roads. The Abuja-Kaduna highway, areas in Kogi State, some other parts of the country, in the south, yes. Those issues are there about opportunistic kidnapping. And also within villages, we see pockets of kidnapping, armed robbery, and stuff. But I do know that the police, like Anambra State, where I am now, the police are everywhere. They are up in arms. Their presence is highly felt. And there's a lot of security arrangement made to ensure that citizens enjoy their holidays. The police is chief operator of internal security. And the police needs to take the game, needs to take the gauntlet and approach the people so they can partner with the people to get these issues of criminality nipped in the bud, and where they do happen, to get the perpetrators arrested. And that is why the current IG began what they call the police campaign against cultism and other vices called Kukah. The essence is that a lot of youths are the ones who are being used for thuggery. A lot of them are being initiated into cultism. They get involved in unnecessary violence, destroying their future. The police is targeting them, reaching out to them so as to reorient their mind to virtues that will help their future and help their lives. Aside from that, the police is getting deeper and deeper in community policing, whereby the police will partner with members of the public who actually own the police, within whose communities crimes fester, crimes occur, and most of them are victims of crime, and everybody wants freedom, everybody wants peace. Police partners with them. The concept of community policing is to partner with the public, is to empower the public to take an active part in their own security, in their own policing. As a matter of fact, if you cannot take care of yourself, nobody can take care of you. And somebody said that self-preservation is the first law of nature. Now, as members of the community, they know the crime that is prevalent in their areas. They may know the perpetrators or the likely perpetrators. When they partner with the police, they inform the police well ahead of time. And it is said that when you see something, say something, but you know to whom you say it. They know which police formation, which police officer to pass that information to. I'm referring to what the Boko Haram talking about is the Bamari area, killing farmers and all that. If the police partner with the public, the trust quotient will be high. There will be a lot of trust,
well,
a lot of good.
Mr. Ojukwu, just one moment on what you're talking about concerning, the people and the police being in a partnership. Speak to the trust quotient, because from your experience as a commissioner of police, as well as someone who had to relate with traditional rulers, to relate with government officials and the rest of them, including community leaders. Speak to the trust quotient between the people and the police. What kind of experience have you had? Don't tell us the ideal. Tell us the reality of your own experience and what challenges you contended with in building the trust quotient that a good number of people believe is already heavily depleted.
Over time, Nigerians have come to see the police as an enemy, as a group different from themselves. But what the police is doing now is to let every Nigerian citizen know that every policeman is first and foremost a Nigerian, and there is no police boy. Every policeman was a toddler in a particular village. He was brought up by a family. He grew up in a community. He went to a local school. before he joined the police. So he was imported from somewhere. If you trusted somebody when he was in school, is it not as the police that you not trust him? So the police are working on the people of this country. So look at the police as their own. The police is
Oh, wait, Mr.
Nigeria's
Juku, on that, we'll come back to that. But, on that, I'm going to wait for reactions from people who have joined us on Twitter, Sunrise CTV, to tell us whether or not what you're saying is their own experience as well. Well, how seriously they can trust the police to give information to them and ensure that nothing happens to them. But let's take a break. We'll continue afterwards. Thanks for staying with us. Mr. Adetayo, let me take that same question of trust between the police and people with you. Oh, I'm just told that Mr. Adetayo is not there any longer, but Mr. Bolanawa, maybe you can also take it. Because, perhaps one of the efforts of the police service to build trust was the PCRC, Police Service Relations Committee, across several parts of Nigeria. Clearly, I don't hear much of it, maybe because I'm not a member?
It's not so. If anything that is worthy of you hearing is happening, you will hear it. You know how to get the news. I know that's investigative journalism. Without criticizing the platform, the CRC, and without criticizing the police that we are trying to build up to the level where they can serve the people, I will still want to say that more needs to be done in the area of trust. A lot has been done. We have the complaint response unit where we make every police officer accountable for any wrong thing or right thing they have done. Talking about right thing, I will still want to plead with the federal government and the Nigerian police force to please create a hall of fame to recognize police officers that are doing exceptionally well. Let us see their face. Let them be given an award so that it goes down on record that some police officers are doing well. Talking about
to encourage others.
And to encourage others to do it. Talking about the question you asked that trust level needs to be enhanced, I will still want to appeal to Nigerian police force that there are a lot of projects that can be done. For instance, now I drove all the way from Abuja to Lagos. There is no police officer. I met almost 40 to 50 police checkpoints on my journey from Abuja to Lagos. But no police officer asked me if I notice anything suspicious from where I am coming from. And I think that should be done, sharing of intelligence, to link up every police checkpoint between Kaduna and Okene is something that an IT person can do so that they can communicate with each other. So if somebody at Cotton Karfi experience some suspicious movement, the one at Lokoja should be able to be aware of it and wait for them. So all these packages of small projects, which will in turn create employment and create wealth, is one of the areas where we want the police authority to look at and engage people, engage consultants, engage experts to create it in order to build your trust. And in the area of bribery and extortion, you are doing well. We want you to do more, because I thought that after the NSAS, we're going to see a reduction or an end to that. But killings of civilians has happened after the NSAS. Bribery and extortion has returned to our road after the NSAS. This is not something that the police authority alone can do. This is something that every policeman wearing a uniform needs to get into their head, that the road we tread to get to NSAS shouldn't be the road that we are going to continue to tread upon. It is killing the people's trust.
Are we not being unfair to the police when we said that they should not extort us? Because we are the ones who probably sat down in the houses of assembly and determined what their salaries should be and keep them in police colleges that look like where you keep pigs. So what do you expect from policemen that you treat like that?
To be honest, their profession is a noble profession, and I can assure you that the police are not the only organization or job that is being poorly paid or with bad welfare. Not denying what you have said, I can say it categorically that the salary of Nigerian police force is very, very poor. the welfare is very, very poor. Housing is very, very poor. I have 2 children, 1 wife. I have police officers that have 2 children, 1 wife. They are going to feed this and house the same number of family that I have. With 100,000 naira in a month, this is a call. We have knocked the federal government more than enough that the welfare of police needs to be changed. Let us push our police officer to the level whereby they will be able to say, I'm contented, I don't need your bribe. So the federal government needs to do something.
Okay, Mr. Ojukwu.
Yeah.
This now probably just brings up the talk that has been going on for a few months now, the debate has been going on about state police. Here it comes again. Is it time for us now to consider this very seriously? Mr. Ojukwu, are you there?
So the police has to grow with the community in which it operates. The police cannot be above the society. We should look at how Nigerian politics is being run, our philosophy of power. Those in positions of authority want to accumulate as much power as they can and use it. We have seen it over time against the people. Now, adding the police to their ultimate control will further create problems for the elected. That's my view. Nigeria police is the police of the people, by the people, for the people. The police is the only organization of government that you find in all the nooks and crannies of this country in over 7,000 locations. And these locations are not in the air, they are on land, within Nigerian territory. And the police are very much available, easily accessible to members of the public. So the police they operate in states, in local government, in wards, in communities. So they're available. But when we're looking at state police, we are looking at where governors, we now have their own police, control the people, and they will use them. I can be quoted everywhere. They will use them against people. You see other examples, like independent state independent electoral commissions they've done. Any governor that is in power, his party must sweep all the government areas because they appointed the ISEC or whatever, and so they dictate to them. By and large, whether it is state police or federal police as we have, if one state police, we must change the constitution. Whether it is state police or local police, the issue is about the training of the policeman who is there. The police, as you have today, has serious training deficits. I had one of your, I think, Alero, mentioned the police colleges. They still remain an eyesore. If at some time you go there, they are now nauseating. Because Nigerians have not paid attention to the training of policemen. You see those who are well to do in this country. Because of prebendelism, one person will have 200 policemen, at beck and call in his house. What is he doing? Carrying bags and all that. He pays. He has so much money. Nobody cares how he got the money from. Now, the certain, these men are going about them. They don't care about the training of these policemen because the police are expendable. Policemen die every day in the course of duty. Nobody cares for them. There's no special day set about to remember policemen. Let me tell you, when I was first PRO, I made an obituary publication about 52 policemen who were killed in line of duty one day. And somebody gave me a query. Why should I mourn policemen for that? I think there are no human beings. These are issues of morale. In the last NSAS process, a number of policemen died in the process. If you have a policeman who is properly trained, motivated, who has to answer to the law and not to the president or to the governor, as the case may be, then the police can perform effectively without fear of favor, without doubting whether he'll be dismissed on Twitter, whether he'll be sacked the next day. The policemen need to have security of tenure.
There are arguments on the streets. Just a moment. There's another argument out there in the streets about how to handle this policing thing. And I'll take this to Mr. Adesanya because since it concerns you a little more. There have been talks about signing on the use of private security operatives for those who can pay for them, just as Mr. Ojukwu has alluded to, getting licensed private security personnel to take the place of the police with, high-ranking officials who are not government officials per se, who need security. Do you think it is the way to go now so that we can be able to focus the job of the police to their primary, which is prevention of crime and criminality? Mr. Adeta, can you hear me? Oh, I don't think he can hear us. But Mr. Abolani, is it something you can take on?
Yes, it's something I can take on. To be very, very honest with you, the influx of deploying policemen to look after certain group of people in an area has been one of the worst and most disastrous things that could ever happen to any police authority. If you look at the ratio of policeman, one policeman to whatever number of people the UN has approved, then it means that there is a deficit if 3 or 4 policemen are taking care of one man and his family. And how we got there, I didn't know. I don't know, because it wasn't like that before I left the country. So I just came back and I even got an advert from a police officer that, Oga, fill in this form and we will give you 2 policemen to be protecting you. I would rather love to have 2 policemen posted to the estate where I live to liaise between the local division and the area command and take care of the type of crime that is happening around me, rather than locking one up inside my compound or inside my car to look after me alone. I would rather see if I can arrange private security training for those policemen, because I can afford it, for them to be able to serve my community better. Well, I think in the community where I live now, there should be about 4, 5 to 6 people having 2 or 3 policemen protecting them and them alone, while the community is still having series of security problems. If you are rich enough and you realize that your wealth is attracting certain crime to you, then there are high-profile security companies all over Nigeria and abroad. Hire one of them to protect you, rather than eating into the existing not enough weapon, not enough uniform, not enough personnel in the society.
Quickly, before we go, because we need to wind down now, Mr. Bolarian, the question that Mr. Ojukwu dodged, I will put to you. Is it time for us to start looking at the issue of state security, state police, seriously?
Well, I'm surprised that you're asking me that question, because we are already there. The Amotekun of this world,
which we don't get to hear about.
Wait, the Amotekun of this world, the Isba of the north, and all these things are the natural way of this thing coming up because of the need for it.
Okay, so we are already on the way there.
We are already on the way there.
Okay.
How each governors are going to handle it and how people are going to get dividends from them is something we should start talking about now.
Okay. Mr. Okoro should know that the trust that trust is earned and not reposed. This is from Armstrong. If Feoluwa says police in Nigeria are not to be trusted, Agui says the police know the criminals. They settle them.
Oh dear.
I'll rest there.
I guess the conversation continues then. So we have to say thank you to Mr. Issa Gusau, who is spokesman to the Borno State Governor. He joined us from our Maiduguri studio. Thank you so much for your time and your thoughts. Mr. Emmanuel Ojukwu is a retired Commissioner of Police and Executive Director, Elko Charlie Consultancy Services Limited, as well as Mr. Sheyi Adetoye, Vice President of ASIS. We also have had in the studio with us here Mr. Olatunbosun Abolaniwa, who is a security consultant. Gentlemen, thank you so much for your time and your thoughts. So we're back with another topic.